Hey guys, this is Shah from worshipguitarskills.com, and today I'd like to show you what you can do if you want to play a rhythm-based solo. And why would you want to do that? Well, a lot of times in a worship team, you might be the only guitar player, and there might come a time when the worship leader or the music director, the MD, looks at you and say, okay, cool, can you play us a solo? Now, what happens sometimes, depending on the amount of people in the band, if you are the only guitarist and then you all of a sudden go to play a solo up high on the neck, then it kind of lacks that body, or at least it might sound a little bit empty. So in that instance, it's kind of cool to look at a rhythmic approach to soloing, and there's so many things you can do when it comes to that. But what I'd like to show you today is just a simple 1-6-5-4 track, and I'm going to show you a couple of things that you can do when it comes to rhythmic style solos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire up the backing track, I'm going to show you what you can do, and then afterwards we look at exactly what the components were of that approach to rhythmic soloing. Here we go. Alright, so that was me messing around with some single string ideas, but at the same time there was a lot of rhythmic content in the way that I played that, but I still had melodic interest as the chords changed. Alright, so let me show you what I did there, and it's not necessarily just for you to play that style of kind of a solo idea that I just did, but you can literally use that in almost anything when it comes to playing, whether it's single note lines, whether it's just, you know, kind of like some muted, rhythmic, percussive style stuff, whatever the case may be. The concept that's super important for you to grasp here is the concept of playing horizontally across the guitar neck, making use of chord tones. All right, so the chord progression we had was A, F sharp minor, E, D. So it's 1-6-5-4 in the key of A. So what are the chord tones of those four chords? And first of all, if you're not familiar with what a chord tone is, let me explain it to you real simply. I can have a chord like this. That's an A chord, but the single notes that make up an A chord would be A, C sharp, E. Those three notes make up an A chord. So the chord tones for A would be A, C sharp, E. The chord tones for F sharp will be F sharp, A, C sharp. The chord tones for E will be E, G sharp, B. And then the chord tones for D would be D, F sharp, A. All right, so what does that all mean? Well, that means as the progression is playing, I can play single notes with kind of a fat sound like this. All I did there was I just played the individual notes. Now there's a bunch of different approaches that you can use when it comes to that. Is sometimes you can literally just play one note of the progression. I think I did that when I started the solo. I literally just played the A note, the F sharp note, the E note, and the D note. So those would be the root notes. And let me play that for you over that progression. It'll sound like this. So that is when I played simply just the root notes. Or I could say to myself, you know what, the second time around, I'd like to build the melodic interest, and instead of just using the root note, I'm going to throw in the third as well, which is the second chord tone. So that means for A, I can do this. And then I can repeat those exact two notes, A and C sharp, because they belong in F sharp as well. And then for E, I could play, say, the B note and the E note. And then for D, I could play the D note and the F sharp. So what did I do there? I simply chose two notes of each one of those chords. Remember, you have 4 chords. Each one of those 4 chords have 3 different notes, the root, the third, and the fifth. And then you can just play something simple like I've just done, downstrokes with some accents thrown in there for good measure, and just choose, you can play any combination of those chord tones. Now you might even want to be a little bit more adventurous and play all 3 chord tones. Then it's going to sound like this. And if you're looking for an even fatter sound, you can play octaves. So instead of playing a single note like this, I could play octaves. And again, I just use those chord tones. Or I could also do this, which is where I play a chord tone, and then I play the very next note, which will not be a chord tone, and then I'll go to the next chord tone. So for example, for A major, I did this. So as I play that D note, it actually clashes with the A chord a little bit because it's that fourth. So it's a very unstable tone. It adds a bit of drama, but then I resolve it by going up to the E. So for F sharp, I can go to the F sharp note, then I can play the G sharp, then I play the A. And for E, I could do E, F sharp, G sharp. So you can see E is a chord tone, F sharp will be what we call a passing tone, and G sharp will be the other chord tone. And I can do the same thing for D. So now I've got the chord tones kind of outlined. So I'm playing 2 chord tones per chord with a passing tone. So if I want to get adventurous with, kind of a polyrhythmic strumming pattern, which I'll use now, but just to show you, I can use chord tones and passing tones to outline that progression. Check this out. 3, 4. Alright, so I'm literally just messing around here, but I'm showing you what I can do when I think in a specific way. First of all, I'm thinking horizontally across the guitar neck. So I don't think of a scale pattern. I'm literally playing on one string and then I'm outlining the notes of the actual chord, which is the second component of this style of soloing, which is I'm outlining chord tones. So you really need to know what the actual chord tones are, right? So that you can spell out the different chords. And you don't have to use all 3 chord tones. You can just use 1, you can use 2, or you could use all 3, or you could actually use 2 chord tones with a passing tone. So much that you can do there. And then the final thing is just knowing how to mute the strings, because when you play stuff like this, you don't want to be too careful to not play any strings that shouldn't be played. You want to be able to dig into the strings, and therefore your string muting needs to be taken care of. So there you go. If you have a horizontal approach to playing melody on one string, outlining the chord tones or using some passing tones in conjunction with that, And then finally, making sure that your string muting is dialed in so that you can, play with a lot of attitude and conviction as you play across the guitar neck like this. What I've got for you is a 7-day worship guitar challenge in which we go over, I think it's about 15 different guitar parts. We check out closed triads, open triads, power chords, octave ideas. We get into these chord tones that I've mentioned, and you'll get tabbed examples plus a backing track similar to the one that you've just heard, so you can go ahead and put that backing track on. I think it's about a couple of minutes long, and then you can just experiment with these concepts that I've just explained to you today. So if you'd like to get access to that, you can join totally 100% free of charge, get the backing track, get all the tabs, and really improve your playing and your overall skill level. Just check out the link in the description box. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Really hope you enjoyed it. Go and check out chord tones. It'll change the way you play your guitar, because that way you are not just blindly playing shapes, you are actually intelligently playing specific things on the guitar that follows the harmony and the chords that the rest of the band is playing, which means there's going to be greater unity with the musical sound that's being produced, and also you're going to sound like someone that knows what they're doing, because as the chords change and all those kind of things, your single note lines and your solo ideas and even your rhythm guitar playing is going to fit really well with the actual chords. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you in the 7-day challenge. Go and register using the link in the box below and get access to the tabs as well as the backing track. All right, guys, until the next one, I'll see you next time.